What's going on, bosses, capos, made men, made women? It's Christian with Party Rental Mafia. I drop weekly videos giving you tips, tricks, strategies. We even have some interviews from time to time that'll help you in your party rental business, that'll help you succeed. Now, before we get into the video, check out my description. I have a free copy of my damage waiver that you can use and implement in your business that you can potentially start earning today. So make sure you do that. All right, guys, without further ado, this is another special edition. This is the second interview that we've ever had on the channel. So, real good friend of mine, mentor of mine. I probably bug him too much all the time, especially when it comes to some permanent lights or some Christmas lights and stuff like that. But
Never. Yeah.
so we got a good friend, Matt with Big and Bright Inflatables. Guys, he's here he's a wealth of knowledge when it comes to business, when it comes to bounce houses. He used to own a bounce house company, so he has that perspective, and now he manufactures and produces. And he's uh, I don't know, content creator, actor, movie
That's right. Yeah.
producer, all of it.
I,
So
I've been wearing a bunch of hats this year. I'm not super historically comfortable with, but I'm growing into it and I'm enjoying it. So we're having a good time making videos. Man, I'm so excited to be on the channel with you. We met in Atlanta last year at a Christmas light training, and you and your wife were fantastic. Got to know you guys a little bit, have a few drinks and
yeah,
get to
yep.
know each other a little bit. And then we got to see each other again in and actually just right there in Atlanta. Your wife reached out and she was talking about a water slide, which I hear you got to set up this week. So
Finally set it up.
I'm excited to hear about that.
Yes.
And y'all went big with a 27 footer, which is fantastic. And then we got to see each other again at IAPA. So
That
I think that was good. And you did the Christmas lights last year. It seemed like you did pretty good, pretty successful.
I think we did um about 15 installs that we did with
Okay.
I mean, as far as with the time frame with the it was kind of myself and Katie. We had some other help here and there, just starting out, but from having to be the guy that makes the quote, that runs the leads, to install the jobs, take them down, I think it was fine. We've kind of amped some stuff up, so we're gonna be ready for this year. But
Yeah, what I'm excited about for you personally, I want to applaud you and praise you is that you did the Christmas light thing and maybe you could have done a few more, but you didn't like stop there. You're already talking about permanent lighting, which you've quoted some jobs out for that, and then now you even jumped into the landscape lighting. So you're making this thing like a legit business, not just that very seasonal grab and go type
yeah,
cash
yeah,
grab. So
yeah.
so very, very excited about that. You were teaching me some things before we jumped on the call about landscape lighting. So I appreciate that a lot.
Oh yeah, yeah, no doubt, man. Like I said, I bug you all the time. And I mean, if it's jumping on a call, if it's a quick message or, the video messages you do, I'm like, let's listen. Okay, implement it. So, but yeah, it was nice meeting you in Atlanta and in Dallas. And then, I mean, not in Dallas. You invited me out to Dallas. You said we'd come out to a
Right.
Mavs game. So,
There
we're
you
gonna
go. Yes.
see
Go
what
go
that.
Mavs. We're making a run at the playoffs here. We're trying to get out of the play in, get to that 6 seed so we don't have to be in that play in tournament. But we'll see how that goes. But I'm sure most of your listeners are not Mavs fans. So,
Yeah,
I have to live down here, Luca, go Luca.
yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, hey. I'm a Duke fan, man. There's people, Carolina. I like the Hornets. You know what I'm saying? So trying to find a Hornets fan is tough. So
Funny story about that, and I bet you can't picture this, but I think in eighth grade, man, I'm 44 years old, so that was a while back. I think you're a little younger than me, but do you remember the starter jackets?
yes, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So I mean, I don't know, I was a bit of a, I don't. I don't know, thug, is that the right word? Not really. I mean, I wanted to be, I guess. But I had a Charlotte Hornets starter jacket I used to rock. It was one of the pullovers that you couldn't unzip with the pockets, almost like a
Yep, yep.
hoodie, but that dude, huge, way too big jacket. Could you see me rocking a bright
With that
purple
old
and
school Hornet logo on it. Yeah,
yeah. So I
yeah.
had that one. And man, I don't even know why. I mean, I don't know. I guess it looked cool. I guess. I mean, I was in Dallas, so why was I, Hornets jacket? I don't know. And
I
then Colorado Rockies jacket too. Don't know why. Whatever. I don't know. I like the purple, I guess.
purple and the black.
Sometimes I look back and I was like, dude, what was it? What
You
was
know,
I going through? What was that stage? What was my thought process on that? But I mean, who knows? I was just,
come back.
you
I
know,
do
I
the
was a
same thing
kid
in business.
trying to be cool,
Yeah.
trying to make friends.
So if you don't mind, give people a quick introduction, who you are, a little bit of your story and what you're doing
Okay.
now.
So, man, I am an entrepreneur who took a bunch of years off to be in a corporate job and then accidentally started another business and then it just kind of went crazy. So I'll kind of break that down for you. But um, I started a number of businesses in my early 20s and I got licenses like my real estate license and different things like that. And, I started a smoothie company. I opened up a store and a shop and bought a bunch of blenders and fruit products and blended stuff. And we never really did much. Like we'd pay our rent and we'd pay the bills and we'd pay our employees, but we never really made any money. Primarily for, when looking back at it, I can see why. The main reason was we didn't follow some of the rules. For example, like the rules of any restaurant or almost any business is location, 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 right? And so, but when you're starting out and you're trying to just bootstrap some things, you start looking at the rent and you start going, oh, that $500 rent is a lot better than that $4,000 rent, right? And so you take the $500 rent and you say, man, I'm gonna make this work. But when it's a smoothie shop and it's truly about location, that off the beaten path little industrial, not industrial park, a little strip mall center, just is not going to get the traffic. It's just not going to happen, right? So, I did some different things like that. Um, Thought I was going to sell real estate for a while, like all of these sort of things, just kind of young entrepreneurial type things, and never really made a ton of money. And then as my wife and I started having some kids, I ended up settling down with a company called Fastenal. And given that infrastructure and the team around me, I was able to truly like excel and succeed. And I ended up staying there 17 years. About 2 years in, I started running my own store. Ran my own store for 4 years. And so the way they work there is it's an industrial supply store, but then you call on the market. So it's not like a store where you just wait. It's not retail. You don't wait for people to come to you. You go out in the market and you capture the business and you process their orders through the storefront. But the real bulk of your business is in customers' location. So it's an outside sales type of environment. So the first 2 years, I basically did outside sales, then got the right to run my own store. In that store environment, the store manager is the best salesperson. So you're still outside sales, business to business, and did very, very successful there in those 4 years, which led to a district position, which had me take over the Dallas area. And I ran that for the last 11. And in that role, man, you are exposed to everything. It truly is like an entrepreneurial class. Like you are learning everything from renting buildings to HR, hiring and firing, different techniques for interviewing. You're learning how to market, you're learning how to do all of these things, the groups to go out, how to recruit, like all the different things. And so I basically they paid me to educate me for a
Yeah.
long, long time. And it was actually pretty fantastic. And I had convinced myself that I was happy. And I was like, please don't get me wrong. I loved my job. I was happy. But I had convinced myself that I didn't have that entrepreneurial spirit anymore, and I was good with the corporate job. But then it happened. My neighbors, they rented this water slide, and it was a it was a 22-foot, man, I can't think of it. It's made by HEC, 22-foot with slip and slide. I can't think of the term right now. I'm sorry. Normally I'd have it right off the top of my head, but I just can't come up with it. And they invited me, and I've got 5 kids. We've got our hands full. So me and my 5 kids, my wife went over to the party, and I was sliding myself with the kids. And that was my first time with a water slide. And I freaking loved it. I mean, first off, it's everything I like because it's bright and it's shiny and it's colorful and it's got the tiki vibe and the whole thing. So it just was very visually appealing to me. And then it was just a ton of fun. And it was hot, and so it felt great and all this sort of stuff. And so I told my wife, I was like, man, I'm gonna buy one of these and stick it in my yard, stick it in our yard. We had a big yard at the time. I was like, this is what I'm gonna do. She was like, no, 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 no. But I was like, yes, like we're gonna do it. And typically the way it works is she tells me no to everything, and then I wear her down, and then I do it anyway. And that's not a brag. It's just how things tend to work in my household. And so, same sort of thing. Like she was not really on board, but ultimately I did it. And so, I don't do anything small. It's right in my title, Big and Bright. Like everything's going to be big, everything's going to be bright. And so, I buy this 27-foot tall water slide, literally 27-foot tall, 63-foot long. And I tell the guy I'm buying it from, he's in upstate New York. I'm telling him, hey, I'm just gonna stick this in my backyard. Like me and my kids are gonna play on it. And he says, man, don't do that. He said, Texas is a phenomenal market. You get tons and tons of sun. You need to rent this thing out. You're gonna make a bunch of money. And I literally, this is my quote. So for all you people who are in the business, you're gonna say, man, you were ignorant. And I was ignorant. I said, man, if I could pay this thing off in 2 years. Again, I'm buying a used slide.
Yeah.
If I could pay this thing off in 2 years, maybe my wife wouldn't be so, pissy at me or so frustrated. And he just laughed at me and he's like, whatever, you don't know. And I said, what do I need? And he said, man, you got to get insurance. You have stuff. You need to protect it. I was like, cool. You got some contacts? He gave me a list of a couple contacts. I said, what else? He said, LLC. I was like, cool. Jumped on Legal Zoom. I don't know, 30 minutes worth of activity, typing it in. A couple weeks later, I had an LLC. So it took a minute to get the insurance. As you guys know, it takes a minute to get the insurance. And the first weekend, or I get the insurance like on a Tuesday, I put up a Facebook marketplace post, and that slide rents Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And I'm like, what the heck just happened? Like, this ain't 2 years. This is 4 or 5 weekends, and I'm gonna make this back. Now, it did rent 3 times because I priced it too low. Didn't know what I was doing. Priced this 27-foot slide at $500 a day, and I just grabbed a buddy of mine's 16-year-old kid, and we went out and we put it up, and then we flipped it to another one on Sunday and flipped it to another one on Monday. And so for me, I was like, man, that's $1,500. I'm way towards paying this thing back. I was like, but it did rent too easily. I did some research. I saw some other local people's sites, and I said, man, I'm gonna raise the price. So the next weekend I went to 700, and then on Sunday I went to 600, and it booked 2 times, so I made $1,300, but only 2 stops that time. And I just gotta be honest, I was hooked. I was hooked at that point. They talk about final addictions. I had it. I had it. I started Googling, didn't know what I was doing. Found a guy in town that sells new inflatables. Grabbed 2 more. I think that following week. Now I'm renting 3 things, and they were renting. Grabbed another uh, buddy's kid. Ended up grabbing my neighbor's kid. And before you know it, I bought 28 of them in 3 months. And we did $60,000 between like July and November, our first year.
Yeah.
And then the next year we did over 250,000 in the first calendar year. So that's my rental background. But because of my Fastenal background, um, I had done a lot of manufacturing and importing, and I had traveled to China and toured factories in Taiwan and all these sort of things. Again, with that free education that they gave me. So by November, so I started in July. By November, I said, man, I like some of these things about some of the inflatables, but I don't like this. And then I like some of these about this one. I like some of this. I was like, I really want to make a couple of my own. So I started manufacturing a couple of my own, like literally 4 months into the rental business. And the whole goal was just really to make a few for myself and sell a few to pay for them. That was the goal. Um, so we started with 11, and I was planning on keeping three or four and selling the rest. They sold before they even got here. And so I was like, hmm, what is this? This
Yeah.
is another part of this market that I didn't know about. And what I really liked about it was creative. All right. And it utilized my background, and it utilized my like quality control type things. I thought I was being crazy detailed. I think I had a list of maybe 13 to 15 items that I like. These are requirements on what I'm making. Now that list is probably over 45, right? But it expands every day. Um, but it just played to all of my background, my creativity, and all of that sort of stuff. And so we ended up ordering 30 next, and then 60, and we sold almost we sold almost 100 units our first year, right? And then that has just expounded over year two and year three and so on. And so that's kind of how I ended up on that side. Now, you know me for more than just inflatables. You know me for Christmas lights too. How did that happen? Well, it's the same. It's kind of the same thing. When you're running a rental business, you got to be thinking ahead. And the one way that I was thinking, like I literally bought, I don't know, probably 3 weeks, a month into the rental business, I bought Big and Bright Christmas Lights.com. Why? I didn't know when, but I knew that sometime I was going to need to supplement the labor during the winter to keep my people.
Yeah.
Right. So we didn't do Christmas lights that first year, but we did it that second year because by then I had a general manager that I wanted to keep through the winter. I had a couple full time staff that I wanted to keep through the winter, and Christmas lights was going to be that way to supplement it so that I didn't have to pay them through the winter out of my own pocket or even out of the Big and Bright Inflatables, um, well, party rentals, Big and Bright party rentals, out of that stash. So we jumped right into Christmas lights. Did I think 45 houses that first year? Again, I'm in Dallas, man. I got 7 million people. I've got a phenomenal market. I know not everybody has that. Also, I was able to invest and market pretty well that first year. Um, and then the second year we did over 100 houses. But that's how I jumped into Christmas lights. And then that led to, you know, buying and selling Christmas lights, and that's how you know me. Let's supply with Nick Classett down there, and so there's just so
But
many things.
you're
So
much like entrepreneur, right? Working for
yeah,
Fasten, working for them. They're teaching you the ins and out of pretty much running the whole entire business, but you're not the owner of the business, right? And then
right.
you get this spark, and then you're like, oh, I see these opportunities. You've already had all the tools you need to know how to run your own from kind of top to bottom the way you like.
Yeah, that was buried like for 15 years, or 14 and a half years. It was buried. And then, but when I did say goodbye to Fastenal last year, it was very sad. I miss those people. I miss the structure. I miss some things about it. But I know it's the right decision, and I live a little bit more, I don't know, passionately every day. Is that the right word? Like when I get out of bed,
It's-
it's mine, you know, and and then you may know this. I think you know this, but we do. I I have this. So we're Christians and we believe in being extravagant givers. And we want to, my wife and I, we want to give, we want to leave the world a better place than we came into it. We want to leave a mark of some sort of way. And so we started giving 3% of all of our sales to a charity called Charity Water, and that's what we still are doing currently. The campaign is called Quality Water Slides for Quality Water Supply, and I thought that was cool. Basically, we're selling water slides, so we thought, hey, if we provide a quality product and we take some of that water slide money and send it away to get quality good drinking water in these countries that they don't have it, that would be a pretty cool campaign, right? And so in our first 15 months, we did it also with the Big and Bright Christmas lights. We did it with Let's Get Lit Supply. Thanks to Nick, he knew of that charity already and was very excited about it. And so we were able to give $60,000 in the first 15 months. And so it's about $10,000 per well project. So, we were able to, maybe six communities. They're not all communities. Some were schools. They gave us the data and the reporting. It's pretty cool. But we were able to make impacts for, over 1,000 people with quality drinking water. And so, that was another thing. So like what I really liked that entrepreneurial spark from me was exercising my creative piece. Don't get me wrong, like there was some creativity at Fastenal, but at the end of the day, we were selling, nuts, bolts, toilet paper, chemicals, like everything to run a factory. But I wasn't like designing a new toilet paper, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, yeah.
like I wasn't using my creative side where like in this business, if you saw what we brought to IAPA, like, like that
Oh, yeah,
came
yeah.
out of my
That-
head, like that was cool. Or if you'll see the dumb videos I make all the time, like those are things that it's just a piece of the creativity that I wasn't getting to do. And then so the creativity was a big push for me, but then also the being able to spend the money the way that I want to spend it, and I want to spend it by doing something. So like giving to the charity water and that kind of stuff. And like I didn't have that freedom at Fastenal. Listen, I had the checkbook. I could write checks for a lot of things, but if I would have written $60,000 and sent it to Charity Water, I would have got fired.
yeah, yeah,
Like
absolutely.
I would have got fired, right? Like that was not allowed to be done. So I was, that those are kind of the things that got that spark for me. Um, I know a lot of people, probably a lot of your listeners, they really they have that in them, and some entrepreneurs just don't work well for other people.
Yeah.
Have you've seen that? And I get that. That's not me. Like that wasn't my deal. I worked well with and for other people. Like I can play that side of the game too. But it wasn't the same level of fulfillment from the creative and from the ownership and from the like impact
Yeah.
side. So that's kind of it's kind
And
of where I'm coming at.
providing like the quality water, which is it's awesome because that's one of the first things you told me when we were interested in Atlanta, because that's when we purchased the 27-foot was when we were in Atlanta. And so that's one of the first things you mentioned about it. And then you were like, hey, go talk to him. He has one. Let him tell you about it before you buy it. So that was pretty cool
Yeah.
too. But what you make quality videos, helping with quality. What makes a quality bounce house? Like
Well,
if somebody looking to buy like your first bounce house, because I tell people don't buy your first one used, just because there's a lot of things that you got to look out for. Scammers, you got to look out for. The quality of the unit. You could purchase a unit that might need a bunch of repairs, or if you in a
yeah.
state where they test it, it may not blow up enough, hold enough air. And all kind of sorts of little things. But what makes a quality unit if you're looking to buy?
I'm not going to get on here and just like blast used stuff
No, I
necessarily.
don't
The
either.
the thing is you don't know what you don't know when you're starting out.
Yeah,
And so I did buy a bunch of used stuff. My part of my first 28, there was a number of used things for a few reasons. There was a kind of inflatable shortage at the time, so getting new stuff was not very easy. Also, I was so addicted to it. Like if I saw a shiny picture, I was like a dog on a bone. I was like, I got to get it. And so in doing that, I made a lot of mistakes. But what I really think is kind of cool about this business is most of your mistakes are not fatal. Okay. They're just not, right? But definitely what I found was, hey, a couple of the units that I bought had structural damage that wasn't visible when you're blowing it up that first time. But, after a rental or two, we were spending $350 to get that thing fixed. A couple things that, so internal structural damage. I'll be honest, I bought a unit and the material was, on its last leg, started to get brittle. That's something that you definitely got to look for. You get some rusted out D rings, like there's all sorts of different things that can happen. Sometimes when you buy used slides, though, you really like them because they're super worn in and they deflate really easy because the seams are loose and they they roll really tight because they're just super broke in. So there are some positives to that, but at the end of the day, I think what it comes down to is two things. Is one is what does it like what are you representing to your customer when you're delivering this slide? And I can honestly say, in that first year when I had all the used stuff, there were some deliveries where I was embarrassed. Like I just didn't feel like I was giving them the right product because I had chosen to buy this used slide that wasn't up to my standard, right? And so I had to work those out of my inventory pretty quickly. But the good news was I was typically able to move on from them without taking a big loss, maybe a couple $100 loss or whatnot, but be able to move on. So there's like how do you want to represent yourself? That's thing one. And then thing two, I spent a ton of money on repairs that year. I had to do some last minute, switch outs. Hey, I know you rented this slide, but that slide got damaged last week. Will you take this slide or what sort of stuff? So I created some hassle for myself. Luckily, somebody gave me a good repair person, but if I hadn't had my local repair person, like not on standby, but on pretty fast, like there would have been weeks that go by. Like some of the bigger repair companies around here and the ones that I've talked to around the nation, sometimes they're like 2.5, 3 weeks out.
Yeah.
So you buy this used thing, you've booked it 2 or 3 times, and then now there's damage to it because it's aged or whatnot, and now you're scrambling for 3 weeks while this guy it just sits in their warehouse until he gets to sewing it. And so I don't know. I'm not going to knock you stuff, but there's just it adds a variable of risk into your business, and it definitely puts you a bit behind some of your competitors when it comes to
Yeah.
like the look and the feel and the quality and stuff. But what makes a good one, man, listen, um, there's a couple different very quality types of vinyl out there. So I'm not gonna like go into the nitty-gritty of that. But as long as you have a quality vinyl, you're okay. They have to be stitched. There's an appropriate amount of stitches per inches and all that sort of stuff. That's important. Okay. But all the major manufacturers are doing that. So you're not going to like really get into a lot of issue with that. Um, but we do a couple things to kind of try to separate ourselves. We have stainless steel D rings. We have a built-in tarp system. We have the rapid straps built into it. I have an overflow drain. We did some improvement to the water releases underneath the units. We use a high quality Velcro. I'm a big stickler on Velcro. I get really frustrated when I see a unit that's got like the Velcro's all fraying. The white Velcro tends to fray a lot worse than the black Velcro. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I got one unit with the white Velcro, and I
I hate
absolutely
it.
hate it with a
I
passion.
hate it.
I know
So
exactly what you're talking about.
I'm a real I'm sticky on that. Like I get that. I don't like units that don't have a lot of air releases. You know, we're
Yeah.
pretty generous with the amount of zippers we have. I also we have large zippers so that the air can get out. Um, there are other little things like you sometimes you can see this the steps are just super poor quality. You know they're going to break and bend real fast. I personally like the slide liners to make the U shape because I don't like water getting in the units on the side of slides. Um, you know, units should come with tethers. They should be quality tethers. Units should come with quality, places to tie them down. I mean, there's just so many little things that, that I consider quality. And yeah, I'm not jumping on here and knocking anybody. Most of the major brands are all going to have great product, but I am looking for attention to detail. And we're trying to come up with things that help the end user. Like, so I started in the rental business. I want to do that. Have you seen our clean out systems on our combos and our bounce houses?
Yes, where you can just pull it up,
Open them up,
open it up, and get it
sweep the stuff
out.
out, get a vacuum in, whatever you want to do. Yeah, I just like that's such a simple thing that really doesn't add any cost to the inflatable. And um, I think, man, why not? Like, why not be able to actually get in your unit and clean it? Because I
Especially the
used to
operator. Yeah,
I
yeah.
used to do it. I used to clean it, right? And I'd have these leaves and grass and everything in the combo, and I'd be trying to push it out that little tiny oval hole in the corner, like
Yep.
trying to shove all this stuff out.
Mud.
Um, Mud, like the whole thing. And I just said, like, I don't want to do that anymore. So when I started being able to design my own, I was like, let's be able to open it up. And then you can use a broom or whatever you want to do to sweep it right out.
I will
Um,
say that putting up that 27 foot, it is big,
it's a beast.
it's bright.
It
Um,
is.
and I mean, I like the things with your unit. I'm not sure this one was made before I think you started doing. I mean, it's got drainage areas on it, but the drainage that you put on like your newer slides, I think. But
Yeah, it doesn't have the overflow drain on that one. No.
yeah, it was before, it was predate that. But I noticed a lot of things like even with the like the mat, the impact mat on each side of the slide when getting out. It is like your inflatables are geared towards the operator, the user, like being user friendly in that regard. So, um, I mean, I don't know if people have seen the cost what of what impact mats cost, and people
Yeah.
going through tarps left and right. So just, I mean, having that there is like real
So
convenient.
to clarify, I just don't want to oversell or
Yeah, yeah,
not be
yeah.
honest. They're not impact mats, they're tarps.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, if you have a state that requires an impact mat, you are still going to have to do that, which I'm not proficient in, but I've started to do some research on that. We will be stocking impact mats at some point. A few states close to us are on the verge of having to have them, so we just want to have them available for like customers in Oklahoma and stuff like that. Which is kind of a new thing. Texas doesn't require them, but who knows, a couple years down the road. So I need to be ready for that. So I'm working on the impact mat situation.
Not,
But yeah, let me ask you this. And did y'all put water on it yet, or do you just
not,
set it up?
not yet. I was gonna ask you. So, I noticed where you can hook the hose into the spout, and then it'll go through the bleed system, and it'll
Yep.
drip through. And then it also has straps where it looks like
Yes.
you can put another water hose, or you could use this you could
It's either or.
or
Yeah.
you could go through the bleed system, or you could put a water hose through and just let it be.
Right.
And it's like that at the slip and slide area and up top at
Also. Yeah. So just I personally believe in a bladder system. I like the sewn in built-in bladder. I think that's the best system on the units that I had. that weren't mine. I had all sorts of systems from, the standard old, we capped off a garden hose and drilled a bunch of holes into it, to built in like little tubes and sort of stuff. And I just found that what I didn't like about those systems were the little tubes seem to always like dry rot and break off. The garden hose, I could never keep it squirting the direction that I wanted it to. And once you've put it up, if it's on an 18 or 20-foot slide or 27-foot slide or whatever, like if it's squirting backwards or straight up in the air, like you can't just get up there and turn it. Like you have to bring the unit back down. You have to try to do all these sort of things, or get on a big tall ladder or something like that. And so I just, that was a headache to me. So the units that I that had a built-in bladder system were always my favorite. So that's what we went with. And so it's sewn right in, and that's the default. Okay. That's what you should use. Okay. But if you don't like it, or you're old school, or everyone that you've ever had, you've put a garden hose on, or a mister system, or whatever you want to do, you know, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm going to put the hooks up there. You feel free to hook it, attach it, to do what you want to do and use another system. But I would personally use the built-in bladder system first to make sure that you don't like it better. But what I like about the bladder system is the water, it rains down where it's supposed to rain down and nowhere else. It's not shooting up in the air. It's going straight down into the U-shaped liners. Again, our liners are U-shaped. So it catches the water in the liner and then takes it directly into the pool, not into the unit, not splashing back onto the slide deck, nothing like that. So that's just my way. But I give you the option because other people like different things. And also, like, what if this thing is around 10 years from now and somebody damaged the bladder system? God forbid, but it could happen. I don't want you to ever be like, okay, well, what do I do now? Well, you just hook up a hose and you're back in business. You're good to go. So just
And
options.
that's pretty cool, because I noticed that. I said I have to remember to ask them that. But yeah, I'd like having
Yeah,
those
it's just
options.
options.
Yeah.
Hey, so did you see the pool? Because I want we can talk about my pools for a minute. Did you see the pool? Did you notice it? Okay. So we are growing, and we will be offering different types of pools in the future, to just reach a different audience. Specifically, like the splash pads. We By the middle of this summer, we're going to have some splash pads in our offering. But I personally, my favorite pool was what I call an inflated pool. And you get the full depth of the pool, like 16 inches of water or so. But when you use it dry, it blows up about 6 to 7 inches worth of air. So if you were to use a slide dry, you can slide into it. It's padding. The kids, won't hurt themselves. It's enough air for it to be used dry. But then when you add water, 400 gallons of water or whatever, like a big pool will hold, that's going to push all the air to the ground, and you're going to get the full depth of the pool. So the added advantages to that are you can use it dry, you can use it wet, you get the full pool, which is what people in Texas really like. Sometimes people would just rent big slides because the parents would sit in the end of the pool while the kids played. Like that's what they do around here. Um, and then when you go to drain the unit, it's really cool. You stand on one side. Well, I don't weigh enough, so I have to undo the zipper a little bit, but then that lightens it. Then I stand on a side, the water rushes out, and then it refills the high end, and it continues to push the water out for you. So you're not having to pull your liner out, or like try to tip your slide over or anything to get the rest of the water out. It drives basically all the water out for you. So it makes getting the water out a lot easier. So it's my favorite pool. But we've had a bunch of people this year, as we've expanded further and further out of Texas. We start seeing that some states like Pennsylvania and New Jersey require splash pads. We started seeing a couple people that just they like it because they don't like dealing with pools. And so like we're adding some splash pads this year um, to our pool system. But in general, we use that inflated pool. And you still haven't used it, so I can't really get your real response on it. But I think
Oh
once
yeah,
you've used
yeah,
it with water, you'll like it. You'll like it a lot.
yeah. Yeah, we're a fan of the inflated pools and just the regular ones that's not the inflated, you know. I like the use
Yeah.
the inflated ones dry. Like if people
Yeah.
ask me, like even like with a combo, they'll ask, and if it's got an inflated pool on it, just for that extra safety feature, I feel like, man, it's awesome. So uh
So, all these things are just opinions. They're your
yeah,
opinion, my
yeah, yeah, yeah,
opinion,
yeah.
whatever, right? And everybody new has to form their own opinion. I can be your surrogate opinion until you have a real one, type of thing. But at the end of the day, it's your opinion. But I'm not a big fan of two-piece combos or regular water slides. Like now, water slides that are two with a slip and slide, you got to have two pieces. But the ones that got the detachable pools, um, I find two things happen that I don't like. One is a lot of times where they attach, they don't get attached just right. And a lot of times water will run off the sides and onto the ground and not into the pool. Okay. I'm sure some people have that figured out, some manufacturers, but I've seen it just too many times. And I'm not a big fan of that. I want the water getting into the pool. Okay. That's thing one. And then thing two is if you are running everything yourself, maybe you don't have this problem. But if you've got a team behind you, like I did, I had a number of employees. They don't have that ownership mentality all the time. They don't care all the time. And I can tell you for a fact that multiple times they brought the wrong item with them. They brought a different detachable pool, or they brought like a bounce house even a few times, and they go to set it up and they're calling me, we're out at this job site and we don't have the pool.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. And so, like, that can wreck a day. Like, literally, if you've got 6, 8 deliveries in a route and you make a mistake like that and you have to go back 30 minutes to the warehouse, get it, whatever it might be, or somebody has to run it out.
Also,
Now, you're missing your next one and your next one and your next one and your next one. And you build these schedules, or at least we did, we build them fairly tight, we got to get that stuff delivered.
yeah,
And so I like the one piece because there's certainty that when they get there, they're going to have everything they need.
yeah.
And if they're going to just pop it up, throw the water on it, inspect it, get the waivers and whatnot signed, talk to the customers with the safety instructions, do all the things, take the pictures, and be on to the next install.
Now you've
I might
talked.
have missed something in there, but you get the
Yeah,
basics.
yeah, yeah. You've talked. Now you've talked. I think you were at the foam convention this year, right?
I did, yeah. Foam Universe this year.
So,
Yep.
I know you've been talking and growing in that regard. I'm pretty sure it's probably been a fun space to be in. One thing that
Yeah.
I've learned in like with my mentorship with the landscape lighting is someone says success leaves clues, right? And so, I mean,
Yeah.
even through
Okay.
this, you've left some clues, but with you speaking at the universe, you were talking kind of about how your customers have been like almost like brand ambassadors for you, affiliates, and I
Yeah.
think a big thing with that has been like your engagement with posting and stuff like that. And so, can you speak to how that's helped your business, and then how um, in this party rental space that we're in, that it can help us as uh, bounce house owners.
Yeah, for sure. Man, I don't even know exactly where to start other than to say if you are genuine, honest, and authentic, and you're trying hard, okay, um, and you're friendly, you're not being a jerk to people, people will like you and they will want to see you succeed. Okay. So I think, knock on wood or whatever, but I think that in general, people in this industry want to see Big and Bright Inflatables and see me succeed. Right. And I think how that corresponds for you in the party rental business is if you take that extra minute or two to make a genuine connection with your customer and them not just be another number or whatnot along the way. They want you to succeed. They want you to succeed in a couple ways. They're willing to give you like a Google review and speak highly to you, which will help your website and your SEO and your future customers. And so in a way that's brand ambassador, you know, being a brand ambassador, but they're also willing to tell, you know, Johnny's mom and Sarah's mom and, you know, and all the other parents at the party, like, hey, you know, these guys, they, you know, they did my party and they did excellent. And so there's that. Also, you know, when you're talking about like if you can produce some good pictures, videos, you know, like again, I was talking about, you know, listen, I'm all for like ninja marketing. I'm all for Jana and her team and all of what they do and spending a little bit of money on your website, spending a little bit of money on Google ads. I'm all for that. Like to me, that's a given. You need to do that. Okay. But it is not a personal relationship, and it is paying for, you know, people to see you. I think that it's a business owner's responsibility to take some of the pressure on themselves and to go out and find business. So how do you find that business? Well, in the rental business, you know, when you're starting out, you really probably need to get and, you know, do stuff on Facebook Marketplace. Like I know that there's some tricks and some secrets to it and whatnot, but man, go right now, this minute, go to Google, Facebook Marketplace and search bounce houses near me. You're going to see hundreds of people. Okay. So they are getting rentals there. All right. And I know you may have to negotiate on price. I know you may not be able to be the highest, you know, all of those sort of things, but like it will drive your business till your website can, you know, take over, right? So it's like that. I call it the ground game, you know, like you're having to do it. So once you're on there, how do you do it? So that's when like standing out from the crowd makes a big difference. Better photos, better advertisements, better videos, all the things that make them say, hey, like, oh, this is a legitimate company. And then once they start communicating with you, whether it's on the phone or whether it's you know, in some sort of message system. Listen, it's 2024. Message systems are, you know, more utilized, whether it's Facebook Messenger, texting, you know, WhatsApp, whatever it is. They're utilized as much or more than the phones are, right? So that high level of information, that high level of customer service, that high level of caring about the customer's party, and meeting their expectations, like that is going to lead people to become brand ambassadors, right? And so like that's how I wanted to relate it to what you guys are doing on the rental side. That same sort of thing will work once you start trying to get into church events, um, school events, you know, business things. It's all about the like the referrals and the professional and the high end, and everybody that you can get to believe in you, and to want to see you succeed. Those are the people who are going to be brand ambassadors. And so for me, it works with the videos. You know, that's my main thing is, um, I'm not, when somebody talks to me, whether it's on the phone or messenger, they've seen me before and they hear, oh, he's the same guy that I saw in the video. And it helps out. So, you know, it kind of, I can't say came to me or whatnot. I'm not saying that, but like about, I remember the shift sort of taking place November. It was like Thanksgiving a few years ago where I was like, man, I've really got to start putting out content that shows me as a human being, not this corporate face. And then, you know, we did some things. You can kind of see it. I can't point. Yeah, well, maybe I can point. I can't point, but you can see a little shadow in the background. That's Joe Taravella. There
Yeah.
he is. Hey, Joe. Um, so he's been very, very key for me. As we've talked, you've heard I have a lot of creativity and I have decent skills. Okay. Like if Joe wasn't here, You would be still getting a lot of videos. They would be okay. You'd be seeing me, but they would be okay. Joe's background, he's got a degree in videography, I believe, and he was a wedding videographer for a bunch of years. I got super blessed to marry a woman whose sister married Joe. So uh, I would see Joe's videos for many, many years and just be super impressed. And then when the time came, I was just started courting Joe, and I was lucky enough, blessed enough to somehow finally get him to move. And so he's come on board. And so this last year, you've seen like a high level of output that is both quality and and more quantity. He can edit in a way I've never seen anybody do, which is fantastic. So now, and he has some ideas as well. But now, when I have an idea, or Mike Ray or somebody on the team has an idea, like, we don't shut them down. We go, okay, how do we make that happen? Where without somebody like Joe, we might go, oh, that's bigger than we can do. If you saw the Jurassic Park video, right? Like, Mike had the idea, let's do Jurassic Park. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Without Joe, it would have happened, but it wouldn't have happened like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, that's the difference. So, um, but yeah, so, by doing that, we really have garnered some respect in the industry, and we've garnered some favor. And so when what happens is, somebody will post, and I listen, I'm not the only one this happens to. All the brands get this, but somebody will post they're looking for an inflatable, and then one of my people that I consider friends, all those things, will say, hey, um take a look at Big and Bright Matt, and they tag me in it, and then that allows me to kind of step in and start having that conversation. And it also gave me a point of reference because I was referred by somebody. And so that's what I'm talking about. In this industry is, if it takes time locally, but if you're using those local groups like the neighborhood app, like down here we have the Ellis County Swap Meet, and all these sort of like little local groups. Um, Sometimes people will post in those groups, hey, I'm looking for an inflatable this weekend. And then, when I was in the rental business, I would have a number of my past clients that would tag me in those posts,
Yeah.
and so that's kind of what I mean. Like, trust me, you got to do the website, you got to do the marketing. Another shout out to Jana and Ninja Marketing, but if you just sit back and expect that to be all your source of income, um, I think that you're leaving money on the table. I'm not saying that you won't be successful, but you've got to find some other ways to do stuff locally. My
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
I
My top,
mean,
my
I,
top four, when I look at my top ways of us getting money, it's traffic from Google ads, Facebook ads, um, word of mouth, and repeat business.
mhm.
So and I think that plays a part in it. Like, them being able to see your face, see that you're invested in it. Like, I know one of he's my OG from back home. He's been in the party rental industry probably 20 plus years, but he the 6-in-1 game that you got, where it's got like
Oh
the,
yeah, yeah, the Fieldhouse.
yep, he's got that.
That that one blew me away, man. I mean, I thought it was cool. Don't get me
Yep.
wrong. I mean, I designed it. I thought it was cool. Um, but when we posted that video, it like our day changed. Like, we just got like, it was nuts. And that was the first time that we really had one of those just like crazy. We posted a video and it went crazy. And I mean, we've sold so many of them. We like, it's been our best seller by far of anything, and we can't keep them in stock, which I mean is awesome. Um, so we've been really excited about that particular unit, and it opened my eyes to something. It opened my eyes that there is a really big market in games. I just, when I did my rentals, for whatever reason, my focus wasn't on games. And so I didn't really have any, and I didn't know the extent of the market. I mean, I knew it existed, obviously, and I knew people were doing it, but but yeah, that one just kind of opened my mind, and so we definitely are trying to have more games in 2020 into 2024, into 2025. Like it's for us, it's a like we're trying to grow as fast as we can without crashing the boat into the wall. Oh, I shouldn't say that with that bridge yesterday. Sorry. That's bad timing. But without, without wrecking ourselves, because we can't we can't go from, 80 to 100 models, which I think is what we have, somewhere around 100 models right now, to 2,000 items overnight. Like we might could design them, but we can't manufacture, sell them, distribute them, all those sort of things. So we have to just kind of, you know, be patient, which is not easy. Patience is not easy for an entrepreneur. Like you have the ideas and you want to implement. And I'm there. I have the ideas and I want to implement, but I have to be strategic about how quickly we roll them out.
Well, where can my followers, subscribers, where can they find you, your company, learn more about it, your products, if they want custom products, if they want to reach out. I see all the time you say, "Hey, we got stuff in stock." If somebody asks for inflatables, you like, "Hey, we got plenty of in stock here in Texas." So,
So we do. Yeah, I made it a point to try to be a stocking company, not just we'll get it for you in a month, we'll get it for you in 2 months. Like I made it a point to invest a bunch of money into holding some product here. But beyond holding the product here, we make custom products for people. Sometimes those custom products will help us go and build something that will sell to other people, and sometimes it's just specifically for one customer one time. Like it doesn't matter. The custom stuff, you'll need to reach out to me on Facebook Messenger. That's the best place. You can also call me at our phone number, so for a custom thing, we need to be having a conversation for sure. So the best place to find us is bigandbrightinflatables.com. It's big and bright inflatables. It's not it's not an ampersand, I think is the word. It's big and bright inflatables.com. And then on Facebook Messenger, I go under Big and Bright, one word, inflatables, one word, Matt is a third word. I'm pretty easy to find there. And then we can message that sort of way. We also have a YouTube. If you search Big and Bright Inflatables, you can find our YouTube. Please subscribe. We need subscribers, and we put out pretty regular content there. We're on TikTok. I don't know the name, but you could find us on TikTok and Instagram and a few other places. But Facebook is probably the best place to find me at the moment,
yeah,
at least for now.
yeah, cool, cool. Well, man, I know you got to get on another live today.
I do. Yeah. That's another place. Find me on the Stay Lit
Yeah,
podcast with Nick Glassett.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that'll be a cool one, man. So, and if you guys are interested and you're thinking something transitioning during the off season, if you're in one of those states, not every state is one of those states where they have to shut down during the off season, but if you are and you're looking into getting into some Christmas lights, it's a wealth of knowledge right there. Him and Nick, they're gonna give it straightforward. It's gonna be no fluff, no BS, and it's not gonna be like any just filling airspace. Like it's actually stuff that you need to know that you can implement and take something from. So, what time is that going on? What time do y'all do those throughout the week?
So we've switched the day. It's typically we do them live so we can take comments and interactions, and then they'll be posted later on to the different sites and whatnot. Nick actually does the posting, so I can't remember all the places, but um we have switched it to Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Central Time. So Wednesdays, 2 p.m. Central Time, we're going to be going live. Today's particular episode, we're going to talk about a few different things, but we're going to talk about expanding the season beyond Christmas and looking at permanent lighting, and then touch base a little bit with the landscape lighting. That's why we got into that today.
Yeah.
So permanent lighting and landscape lighting is kind of what we're talking about, expanding it beyond that, that jam-packed 2 to 3 month season, and doing a few other things with the Christmas lights or just lighting in general. So should be fun today.
Cool. Cool. Yeah, man. Like I said,
I
thank you
and
for.
and listen, by the
Yeah.
time this is on your YouTube, it won't be today, so
Oh
you'll
yeah,
have
yeah,
to
yeah,
go
yeah, yeah.
find that
But
episode
that
in the
they'll be able,
past.
yeah,
But
they'll be able to go
but
search
you'll
for
figure it out. They'll
it,
figure it out.
at least they know that it's Wednesdays, 2 p.m. Central Time.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you. Bosses, capos, made men, made women, soldiers. I hope you took something from this interview. It was great talking with you, Matt. Thank you. I know they'll appreciate it. Let us know in the comments what you take away from this interview. We'll catch you on the next one. Cool.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. I don't know how to stop. Oh, pause recording.